Hi, welcome to the new series Agile focusing on Scrum and Kanban. I am B.S. Satyadev, Assistant Professor, Computer Science and Engineering of VNR VJEC. In this series, I am going to talk about Agile, in particular, how Scrum and Kanban are derived from Agile and how they work and how they are being implemented. Now, as a first presentation, I am going to talk about the need for Agile model in terms of Waterfall model, benefits and its challenges. Now, before 1970s, so the software programs that were written are mostly individual programs written and run by the developers. There is no formal process for running those programs. But as personal computers came into the market and people started using those computers for business needs, there is a need for having a process for doing the software development. In that context, in 1970, Winston Royce has invented a model called Waterfall model. This model was one of the earliest formal models of the software development. This is a sequential software development methodology where development process flows through distinct phases in a linear manner. Each phase is completed before moving on to the next one without any overlap or iteration. Let's see this same thing in a pictorial way. Now you can see once the project is started, the first thing that happens is requirement analysis. The project start normally would be done through a problem statement. The business people or the project initiators, they have a high level problem statement that will be given to analysts. These analysts will go through the problem statement, talk to several business team members, users and other folks and try to understand the requirements of the actual problem statements. To expand the problem statement and try to formalize all of them into a big document called Systems Requirements Document, Specification Document, which is known as the SRS. So once the SRS is done by them, the SRS will be presented to the business people or the stakeholders, and once they say yes, this is what we want, and once they sign off, that will go to the next phase, which is the design phase. So once the analysis phase is done, the analyst will go out of this project, work on some other thing. Now the SRS document will give it to the designers. The designing team consists of an architect or single or multiple architect. They go through the SRS and they divide this SRS into various modules, software modules that needs to be developed, and they prepare a high-level design document. This high-level design document consists of what is the architecture that they are planning to go, what is the programming language that they are going to use or languages, or what are the tools and technologies that they are going to do, and they give justification for each and everything. Once this high-level design document is done, it will go shown to the business team members or stakeholders and get it signed, and that document will be given to the tech leads or team leads, and their role kind of gets limited once the design phase is concerned. So architects will work on the high-level design. They create high-level HLD, high-level design document. Once it is done and signed by the business team members, it is given to the technical leads who lead the development teams. Those technical leads will take up each and that high-level document into multiple modules, and each technical lead work on one module. That means the entire document consists of several modules. Each module is led by a technical lead. Now each technical lead will have his own development team. So they work on the particular module. Now in order for the developers to understand what needs to be done, these tech leads or team leads, they divide this high level document or module into low level design documents, LDLs. So these LDLs are used by the development team. The LDLs contain the actual details. What are the classes or the functions that needs to be there in the code? What are the data structures that needs to be used? What are the data type that needs to be used? Are there any conditions or large big flows that needs to be followed? Everything will be done very detailedly for developers to program. Now once the technically does the job, they might also work on the development along with the developers. They finishes their individual modules. Once all the individual modules are completed, the testing team gets involved. Testing team will start testing individual modules, and they see if they are working as per the expectations. Once all the modules are working, they integrate all the modules into one single software and they test it as the entire thing. That is called the integration testing. Once they are good with this integration testing, that will be shown to the business team members or the stakeholders. Now once everything is approved by them, they are happy with that, it puts into the deployment state. So once it is deployment state, if there are any changes, there will be few developers that will be working on fixing those bugs, but that will be done under the maintenance phase. Maintenance phase will be continued in a loop-like fashion. Whenever there is a bug or a small change needs to be done, this will be documented, and one of the developers will work on them, analyze it and work on it, fix it back, and again put it on deployment. It will be going under maintenance until the software usage is no longer needed. So this is the waterfall model. It is named as waterfall because the flow is like in steps like requirements analysis, design, development, testing, deployment, and maintenance. So it's like when you pour the water, the way water flows like one place to another, this is how in a sequential manner it happens. Now this looks good. And one of the characteristics of waterfall model is once as I told earlier, once the phase is completed, it will immediately go to the next phase, and there is no overlap between any phases. So let's see the benefits of waterfall model. As can easily understand, it is very structured and disciplined. There is clear, well-defined steps or phases, makes it easy to manage and understand. Each phase has specific deliverables. For example, in the analysis phase, we are expecting an SRS. In the design phase, we are expecting HDL. In the development phase, we are expecting LDLs as well as the actual code. Testing phase, testing needs to be done. Like that, each phase has clearly got its own responsibilities and deliverables and milestones. So this actually puts accountability onto the team. The second advantage, comprehensive documentation. As I have been telling, each phase should have its own documentation. We talked about SRS, HDL, LDL. Not only that, developers also document the actual flow of the program, various structures used, various coding practices, activities that are used in the code. Everything will be documented. So there is huge documentation that will be done in the waterfall model. The next, which is like good for future maintenance and knowledge transfer. So and sometimes as a government regulation, it is required for them to keep this kind of documentation so that they will be government or audits will look into the documentation and understand what's being done. Another advantage is predictable timelines and budget. In the beginning itself, the business team or the stakeholders will tell, this is when we want this software to be done. Based on that, the resource allocation, resource calculation, the number of resources needs to be employed, the testing team, the time frames for everything will be planned. So if let's say after design, it is found that it is not going in the way it is expected, then business team can take a decision on, okay, let's extend this to 2 more months. So they will have an idea after completion of each and every phase. They will have an idea, okay, when are we going the right track or not. So this also gives a predictable timeline and again budget, how much budget we can allocate and all that stuff. Another thing is minimal client involvement. The client, as I explained earlier, is involved in the beginning. Whenever the approvals are needed, whenever something is ready for them to look at, they will involve. Otherwise, until SRS is completely done, customers or clients will not be, or the stakeholders will not be involved. They just give this problem statement, and analyst problem is to analyze it and create SRS. Similarly design, similarly coding. So the business team or the client or the customer, same thing, right? They gets involved only when they are needed to give their opinion. Otherwise they are not involved. That is one of the benefits in a way of the waterfall model. As I told you, there are clear milestones. Progress is usually measurable in each phase as completed before moving forward. This model, waterfall model, is really good if the project is small and we know the requirements, and requirements are very clear, and the documentation, whatever SRS or the design document says, is not going to change throughout the project time. So this is a wonderful model for small and stable projects. Now let's see the problems with the waterfall model, the challenges with waterfall model. Well, as it is easily understood from the flow, until the last step, customers won't get to see how the product is. So they might say the SRS is good, design document is good. I mean, they might not get into LDLs, but until the development is completely done and testing is done, until it is deployed, until it is ready for deployment, they will not get to see the product. At that time, if it takes a bit longer time, they don't have anything to say, because if things have changed from their end, or the market change, or they want to change their plans, or they want to change some of the software components, they don't have any say. So that is the problem with one of the waterfall model. No early product visibility. Stakeholders can't see the progress or give feedback early, as software is delivered only at the end. Second thing is siloed developments. Dev does their job by themselves, QA does their job. Similarly, once QA is done, the tested security team will come into picture, IT ops team will come into picture. Like that, everybody will do their job independently. The communication across all these teams is not much. They work in silos. There would be less collaboration and communication. Again, until the complete development is done, testing will not be done. Now, this has profound problems, because let's say a tester found a big issue in the code, then the code may need to be revamped again and has to be started again. That's that's a big hit to the delivery timeline. So that is one of the big challenges of waterfall model. So testing occurs only after the development is complete. So bugs found in the late cycle are expensive and time consuming to fix. Next problem is inflexibility to change. Now, as this entire process is like based on the contract and signing off by the customer or business team, it is difficult to change once things have started moving in the sequence. So that is another problem, and it is actually a good thing. Sometimes it is a bad thing, because waterfall model requires heavy documentation. Like I said, it's a good thing sometimes, and sometimes it's a bad thing, because if a lot of time and focus are invested on heavy documentation, which actually could change in the future, then the documentation is no longer valid, right? So this is something that needs to be corrected in the waterfall model. The second one is weak risk management. Waterfall model doesn't talk about one replacing another person. Like, it assumes that a developer will do his own job. He doesn't know anything about testing or security or IT. So it's like, as I said, everybody works in silos. So if somebody leaves, how to get the knowledge transfer is it's only through documentation. And if the documentation is not clear or not good enough, then it's a problem. So it doesn't really talk about risk management. The next problem is project complexity and challenges. I think based on the size of the project, like as I said earlier, if it is a small and well understood project, yes, it's okay to go through waterfall. But in general, nowadays all the projects are medium to large complexity. In those scenarios, waterfall model may not be a good choice. Thank you very much.
Like, share, comment, and subscribe VNR Digital Learning Resource YouTube channel.